My name is Stani Kulechov. I'm the founder and CEO of Etlend, which is basically creating a decentralized asset-backed lending on Ethereum network. Basically, what our application does, it's a decentralized application built on top of the blockchain technology provided by the Ethereum network, and all the transactions are conducted with smart contracts. So basically, we're a team of 25 people around the world, and half of the team is located in our headquarters in Chiasso, Switzerland. I think like participating, I have been in previous events. For example, we have been in Dubai, and kind of the pattern is quite similar as you presented, that there's a lot of people from the government side, which is pretty amazing. You get basically to introduced to different government authorities that are actually thinking of blockchain, not just basically on the technology side, but also on the regulation questions and other questions as well. So that's why I think it's pretty amazing and well done. And other thing that is good for us as Etlend, as a company that develops applications, basically you don't have that many events, but which you can actually meet other kind of application developers as well. And I think in that sense it's pretty amazing, and you're actually interacting with people that are going to kind of are interested in implementing the blockchain technology in government, let's say in governmental parts, or they might be investors, and kind of you get to discuss topics that might not even occur to you, and you get new kind of perspectives for your own project. So definitely there's a lot of things that the Etlend project has taken from these events. I think the kind of quality you can measure, like I have always thought about in the events, for example, or in the whole community, like how do you measure, like what is the yardstick for quality? And I think that's the basically kind of a rich discussions that you get from the people that are participating. And for example, if you can find quite surprising things. For example, I've met yesterday one gentleman who is actually doing from the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and they are interested in blockchain, and kind of shared our experience in our kind of cryptocurrency asset pledging, and kind of we came up with different kinds of questions, and I think that's the kind of the quality that you can actually brainstorm in new ideas. Because for example, in many different kinds of events you might find a lot of peers, but kind of to get out of that kind of your peer bubble to see kind of other kinds of implementations and questions, I think in that sense that is a good yardstick for the quality. And definitely if you get new ideas and new questions that raises from different kind of perspectives, that's the kind of vital resource for Etlend. Because I think like pitching in these kinds of events is basically very important, and I think the key here is basically the audience. Because usually when you're pitching, as a fintech startup, for example, we're pitching to an audience that is a banking audience. Maybe they're people from banks, fintech companies, or more or less audience that are VCs, investors. They're plain pure investors that have seen a lot of projects, and they're getting the thoughts quite quickly. So in this kind of audience, you basically, when you have governmental bodies as well, and different kinds of participators who are using the blockchain technology or are just interested, because they're here in Africa. Here's in this Nairobi event, there's people that aren't using, for example, they're not using spending cryptocurrencies, but these people are actually interested in technology. So you actually have a kind of audience that you need to impress with highly technical product, and you kind of need to you have a good place to kind of practice and not just practice, but kind of enroll your pitch for an audience that needs to understand the vitals, and kind of in a human understandable way on what you're doing, and not just kind of a people of VC capital investors that are catching the ideas more quickly. They have seen hundreds of pitches, but kind of you have the opportunity to kind of simplify things. And when you're doing that, you're actually kind of making your product easy to understand. And you will see that in all of your communications and especially in investor relations as well, which will help you because if investors understand your pitch quicker, faster, and easier, it creates a lot of interest. Well, that's interesting because like our first World Blockchain Summit event in Dubai was before we did an ICO. So basically, it was a few weeks before, I think 4 or 5 weeks before, and it was a good chance to basically kind of get out to the public. And before these events, we're more or less kind of hidden in the community in the behind of the web page, the Telegram community and Reddit and so forth. So it's a great chance to actually meet people who are actually interested in ICOs and participations. And now, especially when the whole ICO thing is going more in the institutional way, there's more VCs, there are more hedge funds, crypto funds that are investing, and larger investors that are also participating in the events. It's actually a good place to meet these people. So I think events are quite vital for every ICO, and that's the way it works.